In this video, we're going to show you how to install the passenger side motor mount on your Ford Focus located under your hood. With the hood open, you can go ahead and locate your coolant reservoir on the passenger side of the engine bay. It's going to be two 10mm bolts. Loosen and remove those. Save these, we're going to be reusing those. Follow the hose over here to the port on the side of the radiator neck, and we're going to go ahead and twist this off. Now you might lose a little bit of coolant from here, but not enough to really make it a concern. Good, grab the unit, lift it up. There's a little tab down here that attaches to the motor mount, and it's just pushed onto a stud. Just pull that up, and it's just held on right here using these little tabs, these three tabs. There's no nut securing this in place.
Now we have our jack set up underneath the vehicle. We have a block of wood right here, and we're gonna go ahead and position it so it's on the edge here of the pan itself, the oil pan. And we're gonna jack this up gently, and we're not going to lift the engine. We're gonna get that a little more even. We're not going to lift the engine. We just want to support it when we disconnect the mount itself. There it is. Just apply a little bit of upward pressure, and then we can go ahead and disconnect that motor mount. Now that we have the reservoir out, we can go ahead and access all of the hardware holding our motor mount in place. Now there's going to be three nuts, one here. There's one on the other side over here, and then there's one bolt over here right behind our AC line. Now we're going to use our 15mm socket to loosen and remove this hardware. Now this side here came out with a stud, not that big of an issue. Just going to reach down over here. This back one here is actually just a bolt. And there's a bolt over here right behind the AC line. You might have to grab this AC line, just kind of wiggle it out of the way a little bit. Another bolt. Go ahead and set that aside. Now right here, there are two nuts in place. We're going to use our 18mm to go ahead, loosen, and remove that. You might see the motor start to shift. Here it is. You can see the motor starting to drop a little bit. Now we did see that motor drop a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jack up my jack a little bit, and we're going to watch the motor come up and watch our bolts here line up a little bit better. We see that little shift there. And we can go ahead and grab our mount. And just kind of persuade this thing up and out. Before installing the new unit, I'm going to go ahead and jack up the engine a little bit more. All right, we have this rotated in a little bit. Let's go ahead and jack up the engine a little bit. What we're trying to do is get some clearance here for the back portion. Here we go. We can go ahead and lower the engine down a little bit, just lower it down a little slowly.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start getting the bolts in. So I'm going to start with the back one here underneath the AC line. I just want to get that started. And take our stud, line that up on the front side here, get that started in there. And we're going to get our back bolt installed. And at this point here, our back bolt hole isn't lining up. So this is where we can play with the jack. We can lift the motor, lower the motor, and we can shift it back and forth to get that to line up. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jack up the engine to the point where the engine mates with our bushing itself. So we're going to look for the gap between the mount itself and the engine. Let's go ahead and install the two nuts on the top here. I'm going to go ahead and jack up the engine just a little bit here so that lines up and pulls those studs completely through. Then we'll go ahead and snug those down gently. Now that we tighten these down here, it kind of lines up the three bottom or the other three bolts here. So at this point, we're going to slowly lower the engine down to let that mount settle. Once we have the weight of the engine down on that mount, we can go ahead and snug these down. We can now go ahead and remove our jack completely. And then we'll go ahead and remove that. Let's go ahead and drop this into position. We want to go ahead and lower this lower tab onto the engine mount stud here. Push it down. Let's go ahead and install our two 10mm bolts. Now just going to gently snug these down. Just seat those. And go ahead and install our expansion tank hose here. Just have to position the hose a little bit different. Install that. And then of course we can go ahead and fill up our reservoir. Open up the cap. Use a clean funnel. And then use the appropriate coolant to fill up that tank. Once you're filled up, go ahead and remove that. Put your cap on. and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.